Why? Why are you so focused on fasting? Why do I need to care about it? What's it going to do for me?
It's the quickest antidote to what we just said. If we've got all this physical, emotional, chemical stress coming at us, we've got taste buds we've got to change, we've got behaviors we have to change, there's a lot there. But I can show you how to compress your eating window into a 10-hour eating window, leaving 14 hours for fasting, something as simple as 14 hours. And I can show you how you can start to heal yourself without money, without time. You are literally tapping into a healing state that you never knew was there. And I think part of why we've had so many people pour onto YouTube and so many women gravitate to the book is that it's so, once you learn how to fast, you start to see your body in this whole new way. It can absolutely heal itself. So for me, fasting became this incredible tool that everybody could do. And we just had to learn how to do it. The women that I'm watching that are just dropping, men and women, hundreds of pounds, and medications they're getting off of, and mental health that's coming back just because I taught them how to compress their eating window and leave a longer time for rest so their body can repair. That is all, each individual is doing that. I didn't do that.
I'm the type of person that very much needs stats to believe things. I'm one of those people. And once I've got the stats or some kind of scientific evidence, then I'm all in.
Beautiful.
What do I need to know from a scientific standpoint? What research has been done on fasting?
Okay, so let's go through the basic principle of fasting, and I think this will help everybody, is that you have two metabolisms. So you burn energy when you eat, and you burn energy when you don't eat. But they're two different mechanisms. So when you eat, let's use myself as an example. I had eggs and some avocado for around 11 o'clock today. So that's going to bring my blood sugar up. Now, as my blood sugar starts to drop, what's going to happen is my body's going to switch over into this other energy system. And I call this the fat burning energy system. I call this one the sugar burner energy system. When it switches over into this fat burning energy system, it starts to make a byproduct called a ketone. And that ketone will go up into the brain and it starts to repair your brain. And what most people don't realize is your brain needs 50% ketones, 50% glucose. So you're giving a fuel source to your brain that it desperately needs, which is why people, when they fast, are their mental clarity goes up, their cognition improves, their brain fog goes away, because you're literally giving a fuel source to your brain that it may never have been given before. It takes about somewhere between 8 hours to metabolically switch over into this fat burning place.
Okay. So if I'm doing a podcast and I want to be sharp,
yes,
I shouldn't eat 8 hours before.
Yes.
Fuck. Did you come back in 7 hours?
7 hours? Yeah, sure. I should have given you the memo before we got here. Yeah, so I think of it like a hybrid car. You switch over into this fat burning place. So at 8 hours, you start to make the switch. By about 12 hours, your body's now starting to make a good dose of ketones. The brain is excited, so you're getting that mental clarity. Ketones turn off the hunger hormone. Mm-hmm. So you also, when you switch over, there's going to be a point in which you're not hungry. And that all happens at about 12 hours. But you're also, if you stay there a little longer, if you stay there and you go 14 hours, 15 hours. So check this out. Research shows at 15 hours, we see growth hormone go up. Okay, growth hormone is the hormone that keeps you young and helps you burn fat. We also see in men 1,300% increase in testosterone just from somewhere between a 13 to 15 hour fast. 13% increase in natural testosterone stores. And we can explain why that happens in a moment. And then we start to see inflammation go down. So all of a sudden, if you have people who have joints that are hurting, they start doing 15 hours of fasting every day and they're like, God, my joints just don't have that same stiffness in them anymore. But if you stay in that fasted window, you keep going 17 hours, your brilliant body turns within and it goes, wait a second, no food's coming in. We better get stronger. So it literally takes the bad cells, the cells that are slowing you down, the cells that are turning into cancer, and it gets rid of those. They're called senescent cells. And it literally recycles them out of your system, and it goes into the cells that are still usable, and it makes them stronger. It fixes the intercellular parts. We call that autophagy. And that actually was if you want stats, the Nobel Prize in 2015 by a Japanese scientist, Dr. Osumi. He won the Nobel Prize in medicine and physiology for this term called autophagy. And that's when you go without food, your cells will heal themselves. That was back in 2015.
So I want to go into all of that. I want to start with why. Why does fasting help so much? And really, like, what I'm getting at there is if the effects of this are so profound in so many ways, then where did we go wrong? Because from what I, have been told, breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then maybe, dessert.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
That's the narrative that I was brought up on.
Yeah. Well, breakfast is the most important meal a day. I've done a lot of research on that phrase. Do you know where it came from?
No.
It was actually, and I don't mean to diss any companies out there, but it was a tagline that they came up with for cornflakes, for Kellogg's cornflakes back in the 1970s. They needed a tagline that made people eat cornflakes in the morning. And so they came up with cornflakes. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that has continued until this day. I can't find any research, and many other fasting experts, many other blood sugar experts will tell you the same thing. There's just no research showing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So that became a myth that we need to bust. Second myth we've been taught is you can speed your metabolism up the more you eat. 6 meals a day. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Okay, also a myth. There is no evidence that the more you eat, the faster your metabolism will be. If you want a faster metabolism, you need to know how to metabolically switch. You need to know how to go from sugar burner to fat burner. And that's where you start to lose weight. So that's the other myth that I feel like we have to break apart. And then we have this, I can tell you as a mother, and this is, not for anybody to have mommy guilt, but what we do as parents is we have certain statements we make to our kids, like, dinner's being served, the kitchen's closing in an hour. You need to eat lunch, you need to eat breakfast. Like, we are programmed when to eat by a clock, not by our own internal sense. So kids are raised to eat according to a clock, not according to when they want to eat.